Hi, everybody. Good evening and welcome to Reality Speaks TV. I'm your host, Sparkle Denise. And tonight we're stepping straight into a conversation that's been building in silence for far too long. Joining me today is Chris, and together we're unpacking topics that impacts our entire community. What happens when decisions are made about us without us? And then we're left to deal with the aftermath. This isn't just talk. This is truth, reflection, and real questions that need real answers. So, wherever you're tuning in from, share, comment, and be a part of this dialogue. Let's get into it. Hi, Chris.
Hi,
Before we get
Sparkle.
into Hi. Before we get into it, though, I do have an icebreaker for you. I think, yeah, an icebreaker
I'm
would be
ready. I'm
good.
ready.
Okay, so this is fun. So be honest. If you could honestly fix one thing in your community with zero red tape, what would you change first?
Parking spots, paint on the asphalt.
That's
Like
interesting.
everywhere you're allowed to park, it needs to be what do you call it? Identified. It slows traffic down. It makes it safer. Crosswalks. Yeah, just paint on the ground.
That's interesting. Paint on the ground. Now let
It's
me
cheap.
see if
It's easy.
it's one of those things that are cheap and people don't really think about that because I wouldn't have thought about that. Like that's one of those. Oh yeah, that's right. It do need to be a little bit more clearer.
Yeah.
That would help out things a lot. And like you said, it's affordable, right?
I mean, everything else, but feeding people, housing people, clothing people, like that would be great too. But I mean, like if it's, I mean, there's a lot that, yeah, paint.
Okay.
We'll
So
go with it.
you did two letters, and these questions, as a matter of fact, this topic is spinned off of the letters that you wrote. And I wanted to get into it because I thought they were very important. I don't know if I want to read the whole thing, but it was pretty much summarizing the new hospital and the lack of plan thereof. I can tell you straight off that they didn't put that much. They didn't think that one through completely. But what inspired you to talk about that, though? You know, the hospital and the aftermath about it.
So I think an overarching theme throughout a lot of what I write about is abuse of power and uh, poor decision making and lack of forethought and thinking about 7 generations beyond us when making decisions. And the talk right now around the hospital that I'm seeing is a lot of what do we do with the carcasses of the buildings that we emptied,
Mm-hmm.
and the conversation is being pushed on the communities that surround them, so the immediate communities around St. Luke's and around St. Elizabeth,
Mm-hmm.
and we're included in that kind of. um, But what do I know about rehabbing a, I don't how many hundreds of thousand square feet building they are? What does the average neighbor know about doing that? And
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
they have steering committees, but I'm not even focused on right now. It is a focus on right now and how we make decisions, because how we need to hold people accountable for those decisions. Who was there in the planning process and didn't think about what we're going to do with the buildings? How is that not something addressed previously? How is that not something addressed concurrently with the whole entire project? And now the people who planned and implemented this giant project are not really around. They age out and the consequences are stuck on us again, and it just happens decade after decade. um and yeah, so that's what kind of prompted that. So it's more
Yeah.
about decision making and going forward without we going forward with holding people accountable. And I don't know what
Mm-hmm.
that looks like, but we can't continue to let people make decisions that harm multitudes of others and with impunity.
Most especially that it's the only hospital. People from Rome and the surrounding areas, like Rome Hospital, can hold things, but when it comes to trauma or anything beyond probably an X-ray or CAT scan, they sending you to win. You know, they sending you away, and that's also the surrounding areas like Whitesboro, New York Mills. Like these places don't have trauma units, trauma centers. Are they equipped to deal with the amount of people? I was there not too long ago. They actually turned away people at Wynn Hospital because of the capacity. So if you turn away people in the ER, that's concerning because you still got counties, cities, municipalities that probably didn't even make it there to even be seen. So to cut people off because you don't have space. Hmm. So when the decision was made to consolidate three hospitals into one, I feel like so they had the other hospital, St. Elizabeth and St. Luke's, open at the same time. I don't know about St. Elizabeth, but I do know that St. Luke's looked relatively new to me. Like I didn't see anything wrong with it to the point where it has to be demolished or level. Like what's going on there?
Well, and that's it
Um,
too. If there was proper management, the buildings would have had to have been kept up to code until they closed, which was 2 years ago. So the buildings should be in pristine condition, but we all saw how they didn't invest a penny of money into them for the last decade because they knew that they were going to be moving. Again, the decision
mm,
making. And I don't know all the numbers, I don't know all the details and trauma centers and heart centers and all of that. I'm more speaking to the literal decision, who are making these decisions, who's in the room not saying, hey, that doesn't quite sound right, or hey, we need to think about this first, or concurrently at the same time. So I don't know. I hear good and bad things, mostly bad
right.
things, but I don't know those numbers, and I can't really speak to any of that. But what I'm seeing over and over again in my wonderful 38 years of being here in Utica is a lack of decision makers that are acting with integrity and with an idea of future generations.
And what's also interesting is about the Hope Six. Like when I was running for city council 4 years ago, I was told by a lot of residents that they were promised homes because the projects that they were going to build back there were dangerous to live on. And I find it funny because it's so funny because like you said, they were planned ahead of time. These people have 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, 200 year plans for the property around the red. When I had Professor Miller on about the red line and the racial covenants on, he made it clear to me. It's interesting how these things were planned out. So you mean to tell me you moved out a whole resident, people told them it was dangerous to live there, you promised them homes, never delivered homes, but you're building up a parking lot and a nexus center and a hospital. And it's interesting that why is a hospital named after somebody who is specializes in resorts? And then at opening day, they had like literally people hanging on the side of the walls. Like, is this a hospital? Is this a show, a circus? What are we really doing?
I didn't know
Unbelievable.
all that. Oh my
Oh
gosh, they had
yeah,
circus performers. Well, I thought he was in the
they've been
casino.
doing a lot. Yeah,
I
resorts and casinos. Now you in the
yeah,
hospitals and healthcare. You see what it's
yeah.
all about, man. It's like they put the money over the people, and that has to stop. I'm just gonna say it. It just has to stop. And then one hospital, you know, they didn't think that one through. And then I knew somebody who was actually at these meetings when you said who helps to choose. They gave public opportunity to speak. Sometimes they have the public opportunity to speak just to say that they gave the public an opportunity to speak.
Yeah,
It
oh,
doesn't mean they're gonna
absolutely.
listen to anything that the public is saying. They just come to
Oh
the
yeah,
meeting.
I'm not talking about the public.
Yeah. It's
The
like
public's
they
great.
yeah, they offer us times and have all these meetings with us and have us to believe in that they're going to listen to what we're saying. And they make these decisions and they don't really take our advice. For example, I knew someone who was going to the meetings who told me that it is against New York State or state law, something like that. It's against the law to build something like a hospital so close to railroad tracks. It has to be at least 10 miles away from railroad tracks in case, let me slow it down. In case the railroad tracks derail, they're supposed to be a certain distance away from the hospital. Not to mention that the ground that it was built on it's not that great sturdy underneath. When they were trying to construct the hospital, the block up the block, State Street, collapsed twice. There's not the capacity. They ain't thinking it through. I think the Erie Canal ran through there someplace somewhere. Like that's another
Risking it.
story. It's like
Yeah.
they didn't think that one through. When my friend told me about the railroad tracks having to be, you have to be at least 10 miles away from it in case it derails, that was concerning. And they still built it because he brought it up in a meeting.
Yeah, it's not 10 miles, but it's the hospital Wynn is within that mandatory evacuation zone if there is a derailment.
That's
So
right. That's
the
right.
hospital would have to be evacuated. And to where? Where they going to Rome? They going to upstate? Where are we putting everybody? At the Nexus Center, which is again in the evacuation zone.
The
You see?
mandatory evacuation zone. That's the language.
Yeah.
That's concerning to still build something when it's next to it. You know, you bring these up like, don't you care about the people? Don't you care about in case of emergencies? Obviously.
Well, and then I guess you can always say they have a bigger picture that they're trying to put together, a bigger puzzle that we can't see. You know, we see all these individual little instances, but they have to make do with what they've got. But I think we're all kind of over that story. Like we
Yeah.
we see how you're moving in the world, and it doesn't really vibe with that.
It's just things that make you say, Chris, I think you need to run.
Run away, yeah.
And you know, this is really the attitude a lot of people are doing. They're really running away. Like they're so overwhelmed, exhausted that you know they feel like nothing is, their voices are not being heard. They're like, you know what, I'm just gonna take my new family and leave. And that's unfortunate. You know,
Yeah.
if you were to leave, you know, that we'll be leaving someone good, you know.
Well, yeah, no, I'm just joking. Because there's
I'm sure it crossed your mind.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But I mean, the same issues are everywhere. And the problem is we haven't figured out a good way to address them. And if the answer is always moving, it's never going to be solved. And being, you know, most American, 90% of us are products of immigration. So there's that too.
There's that. There's that too. Yeah.
Side note, I wanted to start with this actually before the show. I was at the doctor's office the other day for a checkup, just a normal checkup, and sitting in the waiting room, and this woman begins to start a conversation. I don't try to start any conversations really with people with strangers. So that's stranger danger. I don't know. I was taught right in elementary school. And and she starts talking about because there was the news on, and something about churches having lower enrollment in priesthood and whatever. And so then she starts telling me that if they let the priests marry, they wouldn't have the scandals. And so I didn't say this, but so you're telling me her husband's right there. If your husband didn't marry you, he'd be raping babies? That's not how it works. Like predators became priests, and then people kept their mouths shut because they didn't want to ruffle feathers, speaking against power. You know, so it was so baffling. And then she tried to tell me that Jesus was in the Old Testament. Yeah, it was a really interesting. Oh, and then she started talking about illegals, which to me is the same as saying any of the words you're not allowed to say when referring to a breathing human being. So,
not the illegals.
Yeah. I thought you would have appreciated that story.
But how did you handle that?
Well, I told her that illegal, like no human beings are illegal. Oh, and then she was a Caucasian European American, so I reminded her of that and that she's on stolen land on Turtle Island. You know,
you went there.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I trust you, Chris.
Where else is there to go?
Turtle Island. A lot of people don't even know what that is. What is
And that's,
Turtle
yeah,
Island?
we're on Turtle Island.
We're
This is
on
Turtle
Turtle
Island.
Island. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And until you understand that, again, I'm not interested in a conversation. So
If you
we're
don't
good.
know at least that much, right? This place is going. Sometimes I wonder.
Yeah, yeah. So do you want to talk about the other article? I forget which one was
Yes,
that.
I want to talk about the other article. So the other article is like something that is going on. It seemed like a epidemic in every city or a pandemic in every city. Like it's really, really bad, the homelessness situation.
Hmm.
And in Utica, so first I want to say shout out to Mike Bowman. You mentioned him, Pastor Mike Bowman. You enter him in the article, but I wanted to mention him just from one heart to the next. Like I think that he's doing phenomenal work. I was even wondering sometime before when my friend was homeless before and I couldn't give them a place to stay. And he was like, well, what about the churches? The churches are so big. This was in New York City, though. He's like, the churches are so big. They so many churches in New York City. We can't go sleep in one with me and my, wife and everything like that. And I'm like, that is truly a good idea. So when I came upstate, Mike Bowman was actually letting people sleep in that church. Like, what is the big church for if we can't sleep here? And to when I talked to him and he was getting some pushback, that was concerning. It's like in a city, in a town, in a state, in a county that's not really breaking down the door to help in a capacity and which he wanted to, and not receiving the support needs to be studied. That needs to be studied. You know.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is, he doesn't need very much outside support other than, um, and what I mean by that is if the he's villainized by so many, and if that just stopped, that'd be perfect. He doesn't
Mm-hmm.
need him and his community have truly wrapped their arms around the idea of being a community
Mm-hmm.
and serving where you are. Um, yeah. So I don't think he needs very much support other than people to be quiet about those critiques that are needed, but for the public sector.
Mm.
And I've talked about that in a couple articles, the difference between private and public sectors and how they're really have been the lines have been completely blurred over the last couple decades globally, in giving and that type of thing.
Yeah,
Where
that's where the I guess what they said the crooked politics really happened between those two. It's like even when you own a business, you have to have like a government contractor entity. It's like where do these people who's making these rules really? Like they just make up stuff as they go along, you know.
yeah.
Hi, Lady Jam for Humanity. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Chris. We are on stolen land and need to be reminded regularly. Hmm.
And I think she's coming from Tuscarora land
Tuscarora
down in
land.
Oneonta. Yeah,
Yes.
nah, their area. Yeah. So.
That's what Tuscarora. That's where they were.
Well, so the
Possibly.
Tuscarora were Haudenosaunee, so people of the Longhouse, but from close to Lake Ontario on the other side.
Mm.
And centuries ago, they migrated down to the Carolinas, like before colonization. And
Mm.
then when all of that started to go to shit, they a group of them decided to move back up to this area. And when they migrated, the Oneida welcomed them into the Confederacy. And then there was a vote, and they were welcomed in, but without voting privileges and whatnot. And they were granted the territory around Oneonta in the southern tier, kind of in between the Oneida and Mohawk territories.
That is so interesting because I visited the First Presbyterian Church and they had an induction ceremony of uh, a general or a soldier who passed away, and I just looked up into it, like what is Presbyterian? Who are these people? And I was in Cooperstown. Shout out to First Presbyterian Church. The service was great. The message was awesome. But I was looking into the history. Stop, Chris. I was looking into the history of Central New York and the indigenous people, and it's Haudenosaunee. Is that how you pronounce it? Haud.
Haudenosaunee.
Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
See, and they also known as the Iroquois, which the Confederacy included the Oneida Nation, Onondaga Nation, Mohawk Nation, which I just learned was right near the Mohawk River where I live now in Rome. Cayuga Nation, Seneca Nation, and later the Tuscarora Nation. So that's interesting.
That's so funny. You were just looking that up?
Yeah, I just looked it up earlier today. No cap.
That's so funny.
Yes.
Yeah.
No cap. Like I just looked it up. I'm like, wow. Came from Wikipedia.
Yeah.
That was the source. And I was like, wow. Then it went on to Onondaga. So I'm just like, so Susan B. Anthony came through that church too in the 1800s. So I'm just like, so if it was the 1800s, so who was there in the 1700s and the 1600s and the 1500s? So that's pretty much what I was fishing for. And it came up to this, what you're just talking about, ironically enough. So I don't believe in coincidences. Shout out to the ancestors. I know y'all watching us. Y'all got our backs and y'all not way back. That's why we ain't never scared. So back to what we were talking about, because I can get easily distracted. I did want to ask you. So when it comes to solving our problems, Chris, do you think that we become too dependent on institutions to solve our problems? Or do you think that communities should address these issues themselves?
Yeah, there needs to be space for both. For efficiency's sake, I think communities figure out how to fix themselves. And so what I think our societies and governments are supposed to try and do is collect a tax, use that money to do the efficient things the best and most streamlined ways. And then those other problems that are very specific, the private sector, the rest of us, figure out how to fix. But there needs to be the room for that. And when we pigeonhole all of the funding streams to just go toward what the government's supposed to efficiently tackle, we don't allow any space or resources or money for the private sector to really figure those things out. And that's the only place where innovation happens, because the government it's not the place for it. You have a task, you have a budget, you have to work within that and accomplish something. The best practice that we've figured out how to streamline efficiently for the government. And then that's the thing with Cornerstone and the Morrow Center is it is literally the only thing that is a private grassroots initiative tackling a very specific problem in a very specific place on our planet, and it's been given absolutely no room or breath to figure it out.
Right.
We have these other programs. We have the county program. We have the different homeless shelters, but they are given a certain number to serve, and that's it. There is overflow. What do we do with the overflow? If you're not going to give room in the private sector, what's we know where the country's going. They want to criminalize it and send you to jail.
And what's also interesting is that they paid thousands of dollars for them to stay at these hotels. Imagine if they gave Mike Bowman that money, someone like him, that money, just a fraction of that money, right? To go into the assisted living facilities that he's been talking about, like to help these people that he's been servicing all the time in our community, to kind of help them to, live. A lot of people are dealing with mental health. People like to focus on the drug addiction. What about the mental health aspect? Because a lot of it, the root of any drug abuse is mental health. They kind of go hand in hand. And if you kind of like iron it out and ask the person who's struggling with drug addiction, it's some underlying mental health. It's a
yeah.
I just read that like 1 in 7 people have a mental health diagnosis. So imagine the people who are not being seen. If we talk about 1 in 7, that's a lot. Lady Jam for Humanity, I'm listening.
Oh, and who owns the hotels?
Mm. You
I
see
don't
what I
know. Follow the money. What politicians do they support?
that private sector again. In reference to corporate billionaires, political and blurred lines, the game Monopoly taught many of us that business monopolies are not good for anyone except the rich. Hmm, that part.
Right? They love socialism when it's just them in the system.
Yeah, pretty much. So about the churches, but neighborhood. The question is, what role should churches, grassroots organizations, and neighborhood groups play in tackling issues like homelessness, poverty, and isolation? Um, but how do we create real solutions when you, like you mentioned, the privacy? It seems like the lines are blurred because they tell us one thing and then do another. So it's like they give us the illusion that we have an opinion, but do we really? Because I don't know. I'm kind of like
Who are we talking about?
just when making decisions like hospitals or what happens to the homeless population,
Hmm.
and then I mentioned who do we rely on? And then we say, oh yeah, it could be a little bit of both, but I'm trying to figure out what is the difference between maintaining a system and creating real solutions, because the system is being maintained, right? There's
Or
dollars
it
being
should be.
allocated, there should be,
It should
but
be, but it gets blurred because sometimes when it fits the programs that are basically all government funded, they say they're nonprofit and deserve the private sector funding to
mhm,
supplement the government funding. But you're not doing anything innovative when 90% of your budget is doing New York State's job, or 90% of your budget is paid for by New York State to do their job. Does that make
mhm,
sense? You're just becoming another arm of an office that's at the state building, but in a different name. So we're making more processes that are costing money, more inefficiencies, more directors, more people at the top that don't live near anything that they're making decisions about. And that's another thing too. So like the proximity to your decisions, like
mhm.
where are you in relation to the effects of what you choose to do on behalf
Right.
of so many people.
So let me ask you, can you see me?
No, you're
Okay,
just
so
on
let me.
the screen.
All right.
Sorry, I thought that was on
Um.
purpose.
So is it also for you? You can see yourself, right?
Yeah, I can see me.
All right. Let me come back.
Oh, oh, it's just me. Yeah. There you are.
Okay, I'm back. Cause I'm over here like I can't talk about stuff too long. Before they start, it's like keywords they got coded here. Anyway, that's another story. So I'm back.
Oh,
And
like it wouldn't let our video go?
oh, yeah, I always feel like sometimes there's keywords out. They ain't gonna talk stuff about our bureaucracy. Let's cut them off. Like I just be feeling like that sometimes. Easy, but I could just be, it could just be a connection thing.
It was
So,
Elon.
um, yeah, it's not that much longer. Yeah. And so the other thing that I have for you is if you could invest in one local solution, if you, Chris, could invest in one local solution that would make the biggest difference for Utica over the next 5 years, what would it be and why? Not the painting, but like
What we talk about?
something comprehensive. Let's
I
start with
mean,
the.
what's my budget?
That's a good question. So let's look into the last. Let me look into what
How
was
many people are
allocated.
working for me? Like that. That's a. And I
Let's
don't
let's
know.
say let's say you're the mayor.
You know.
No, governor,
No, no, God, no, no. The
city
current system.
council member.
No, I'm not built for these systems. None of us are, and
Mm.
And a lot of us don't want to accept that fact. And I don't
Just throw
know.
the whole system away. Build a new humanity.
But Sparkle, you know me. You know me. Could you see me sitting in any of those desks? Like, no.
Nah.
No, we need clan mothers that are assigning leadership roles. This is not a system that anyone that I know would want to be a part of. I don't know.
But yet it's here. But yet it's
Yeah.
here. What is it doing here?
Yeah.
Come on. Some
Well, we know how
something
it
is
goes.
something is going on that somebody's not saying. Or something like it's just not this, and it's so well supported. It's like, huh? You get $1 billion, but you just said you didn't have no money for the poor or the homeless. I just make it make sense.
Yeah. Well, you, Sparkle, the question, I'm going to turn around on you. So, 5 year, what's your 5 year plan? What's your
My
five
5-year plan is to create a whole new constitution. I feel like the
for this
Constitution needs
country?
to be revised, reformed, and it needs to include things with the technology age, with the age of Aquarius, what they call it. It's like it's this whole new age of technology, and it's not. It needs to be in the Constitution. Some parts of where we're headed with technology and drones and satellites. These things they got a mind of their own. They could grow without us. These things need to be regulated in the Constitution, as well as Black people. Being able to. We need to be there, not as 3/5 of a human and not corrected and recorrected. Civil rights don't need to be an act either. We need to get out of that act. It needs to be in the Constitution because we are people here. So all of that stuff needs to be reformed. And I would like to see more people outside of African American people fighting for African American people, because we have been dramatized, traumatized, and what trauma does to the body alone is it's a miracle that we're still here. God is so great, and it's just a promise.
So how would we do
However,
that in 5 years? How you doing?
well, if
You got more.
fire everybody, and like you said, let the mothers and the community that we know that's been holding us down for years, centuries, decades, let that legacy take. Let us hear what they have to say. Let the downtrodden speak. Let the people who have been forgotten, they have opinions. Let them all come together. Let's provide a platform for them and say, hey, you've been living on the street for the last 20 years. What do you think can make this world a better place? Hey, you've been living in poverty for all your life, generationally. What do you think? I think I would start from the bottom, poll these people, assess these people and ask them key questions and go from there, because they know better than us how to help them. So that's what I would do. That's a good question, Chris.
Oh, yeah, it was
So
yours.
yeah. So I mean, I don't know. That's pretty much what I have for you. I don't know if you have anything else for me or anything else you want to talk about. What you're working up, what you're writing now, what's
Yeah, no.
next?
I wanted to ask you if you had any ideas for some. One I have coming that I've been working on since Friday, because I went to Edgar Duran's court case on Friday. The
Is that
gentleman.
the one that got sentenced for Messiah?
No, no, this was the gentleman employed by New Hartford that got taken by ICE.
Oh, I saw that. I don't know
Yeah.
enough information though, but is he free?
No, so he was taken into ICE custody, and then last month the judge here, I don't know what
Is
it's
that the
called.
one that they coerce to say certain things?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So he was moved to Oneida County court jail with a
Hmm.
dollar bond. Like he could be
Oh,
bonded at a dollar, or bail at a dollar.
okay.
And but if he does bail, ICE will pick him up because he has to plead guilty to something to do the bail. I don't, whatever.
So it's safer for him to stay inside?
Yeah, yeah. So he's
Wow.
in jail, and this month or Friday, the hearing, the his lawyer asked. I believe this is all. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. This is just Chris. This is not real news. This
Well,
is
this is
real.
from your perception.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the lawyer asked for, I don't know if the whole trial to be dismissed or certain evidence or something. He asked for some dismissal and that was not granted. And then he asked for him to be put on house arrest instead.
Mm-hmm.
And the judge was callous, and he went like this. He's like, why would we do that? Why would we do that? You know, it's like, okay, let's forget about the humanity of the situation. It would save us money. Forget that his children are home. Forget that he has a business to run. Forget that he's part of a community. Forget all of that. It will save us money. Isn't that what you're always telling us? You're trying to do, be fiduciarily responsible for everything. But okay, let's keep him in county jail with $1 bond. So clearly he's not that bad of a criminal. And then,
Mm.
so there's all of that. And then the everybody involved in trying to coerce another human with the threat of ICE identifies ICE as a terrorist organization. You're using it to terrorize people. So I the whole thing is just bizarre. And
Mm.
there's yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
So
Wow,
so
that's
that
unfortunate.
so you can see that's what I'm working on. I mean, I have a bunch that have just kind of been sitting for
Yeah, I
years.
want you to work on that one because I want to know all about that. Like, what is so they're definitely in Oneida County. I spoke to someone in New York City. Like, I'm like, are you afraid to go to work? Because there's people that going to work that haven't been to work for almost a year. Like, they're really terrified to leave their home. Like, God forbid if they get ill. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen. But
Yeah.
I spoke to someone who was like, "Oh, I don't care about that. I go to work and I don't see them." But up here in Oneida County, you see them. It's like, what's up? Like you would think they would be in New York City versus here. Like,
Yeah, it's weird. It's all
yeah,
very
that's
weird.
weird.
So
That
many
he was,
people we don't know that they've taken.
that we haven't seen in a little while, wondering where they are.
Yeah, and that just would naturally be kind of quiet about their status.
Mm.
How many Amish people are undocumented?
Mm.
They hardly have
Th-
books. You
I don't
think they
even
got
think
books?
they. I don't think they register their children. Do they? Like for
Right?
birth
I don't
certificates and
know.
stuff? Wow, that's a good question. Now that's a good question. Hmm.
You know, I don't know if it's still legal, probably not, but they used to be able to cross the Canadian border because there were Amish communities up there without a passport or anything.
Wow.
You
So do
know,
they live by a different set of rules? I'm not sure. I have to look
what do you
into that.
mean? Not
Like,
legally, I don't think, but I think in those instances, yeah, like they were
okay,
just because they were part of that community. Of
okay.
Amish.
So, well, even though I'm a part of a community, I still got to get my paperwork in order to travel. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Things that make you go, hmm.
But see, that's all, and I guess that's about my op-eds. I'm not an expert in pretty much anything, so it's just my opinion, and I hope that they kind of instigate real reporters to do the real research with all those numbers. That I'm not really concerned with all of that. I'm concerned with the people sitting in the seats making decisions that are they're clearly tainted decisions. Like I don't want to vilify anybody, but like there's something wrong with your capacity. So just move out of that seat, get it cleared out for somebody appropriate to be there because we need real people making decisions going forward. What are our kids going to do? What is in 100 years? I'm writing a lot. So they're going to know what the heck happened. They're going to know names. I got receipts. We all got receipts.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were saying, it's the age of technology.
Yes, yes.
They go back now. They can see every step we take with our phones. Like, look at it all. Like, let's finally find people with integrity. Like, do
Yeah,
it.
I
That's
agree
another
with you.
article I want to do is on the flock cameras, the surveillance cameras that they put up
That
everywhere.
came all over Utica, New York, out of nowhere.
Yeah. And see, this is the problem with all of these articles is I got one thing, but then it turns into 50 because there was no, like, they didn't tell us about this. There was no public, there was no anything about this. I saw 3 in one day being installed. They might have been 22-year-old boys in plain clothes with no signage, no branding. It just looked like college kids digging holes in people's yards. The neighbors
Mhm.
weren't told. There's one across the street from my house, so there's that. There's you want to surveil. You got cameras everywhere. Start giving people speeding tickets. Why won't you do that? Because it's your brothers and cousins and aunts and uncles coming in from the burbs to come to,
Mm.
you want the cameras. There's like a million. The cameras are linked to the IDF. So okay, we want Israel to have all of this data. They're not secure. People can't access them. I can't, but like and then the cops are accessing it to go after their ex-girlfriends or things like that.
Mm.
So I've already got 5 articles right there. I've got 5 more in my head. There's 20 more that I'm going to think about in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So kind of never ending.
So the rabbit holes go deep. One topic turned into 4 and 5. But what's the IDF?
Israel's army.
Really? They have access to this?
It's
What
I
is it?
think
Satellites?
I think it's their software.
Really?
The United States,
Possibly.
Israel,
Don't quote you. Okay, I got what
yeah,
you're saying. Don't quote
yeah.
you. But OMG.
Yeah, and our military, our cops train with them. There's instances of U.S. Police departments training with IOF.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Right. Like, okay, phone privacy, Lady Jam, phone privacy. Like, okay, I mean, I want phone privacy, but if we're not going to have phone privacy, why can Home Depot listen in and sell me paint when it hears me talking about redoing my kitchen, but you can't find pedophiles?
Mm.
You can't find racists with an
Mm.
algorithm? I'm sure you could find, like, but you're like, okay, let's not have privacy. Like, show us that you have a brain. Sorry. See?
Yeah, well, it kind of goes that way because it's like, where's the common sense? I think it's just a matter of priorities. Like, what are their priorities? They already shown
Money.
since Michael Jackson. All I want to say is that they don't really care about it. Come on, he sung that song years ago. It was purpose behind that. Like, that's all I'm trying to say. They seem like they do, but I'd like to answer your question. You can't find a way to do something so minuscule, like find somebody who's been missing or a missing child, or priorities.
Yeah. Oh, and I wanted to happy Pride Month.
Oh yes, happy Pride Month. Hello
And
back.
that's another thing I was thinking for an article is the flags, the stupid flags. Like, why are we talking about bathrooms? Why are we talking about flags? Why are we talking about all this superfluous crap when we only, how many people are on the council? There's not that many people there's not that many people working for us. Can we stop talking about stupid shit? Every time, I only went 3 times to Common Council after Nyamwe, because after that, it was just ridiculous. Every single time, right before somebody would talk about Nyamwe, somebody talked about this traffic triangle. Do you remember the traffic triangle? I don't know what it is with Utica and our state.
Okay, that's
Oh,
interesting.
not
And then my
Nyamwe.
volume went all the way down. I think I might be hacked.
Oh. So I think we're done for this week, audience. On behalf of Sparkle, have a good evening. See you next week, possibly.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, there you are.
Because it's like, like my volume on my device literally just went down. I'm watching the volume go down. Like, who's touching the volume button? That's why I said I might be getting hacked. Like, this is on out of control. But either way, it's non-way.
That's
Not.
it. Like I guess I understand that they're watching us all the time, listening to us. Like, cool, have at it. I am so
I'm
uninteresting. Like,
bothered.
well, have fun. I,
Yes.
you're okay. Yeah, listen to hours of this. Could you?
Maybe you might learn something. Maybe you might have a heart. I'm always hoping that people will wake up one day and get integrity and be good citizens, because it's actually easier,
Right? That's so
honestly,
funny. I never thought about that. Yeah, let them have access to better people's privacy so they can see.
so they can get some feedback. Because I feel like God is a living one. I still believe in the Holy Spirit and the Holy Ghost. So if you're gonna ghost out on doing the right thing, because that's what you're gonna end up happening. Because in every story you watch, no matter what movies you create, the bad guy always loses in the end. Always, no matter how hard you try. Of course, we go through all these trials and tribulations, hurt, pain, and trauma. But in the end, even in your stories that you write to us, in these movies and films, you don't. The end is always the same. But hey, I guess it's for entertainment purposes. So consider me entertained.
Oh, thank you, Lady Jam.
Thank you, Lady Jam. She should be up here with us, right? Rocking out with us.
Yeah, next time. So,
Next time.
are there any op-eds that, because I've got a lot we got to get through? Are there two that you want to talk about next time?
I would like to talk about the one you just talked about with the guy in the case with ICE. And
Oh, okay,
also
so I gotta finish writing it.
and I also yes, and then I also want to talk about I forgot what you just mentioned this that fast, like that made me say, ooh. Um oh, the cameras. The
Mm.
cameras that you said that could lead to 5 different. I want to really talk about the cameras, because I remember them talking about the cameras in order to when I used to go to the trust building meetings and at Rebuilding a Village, it was between the UPD and the Cornhill community to try to build trust between the two. They were talking about those cameras going up in order to track the gunfire. Every time there was a gunshot, they will be able to track the gunshot. I'm not sure if those are the same cameras or not. They come with like something looks like a microphone a little bit.
Well, that's the thing is, like, if you're being so obscure about and non-transparent about the entire thing, what's the problem? How are you supposed to build trust with us when you can't tell us exactly what this thing is, exactly what it's used for, exactly how we're going to benefit from it, and then
Mhm.
you get defensive about it? Why are you getting defensive about it if it's in everyone's best interest? What if you can't explain it? What's the problem?
Mm. Why are
I
you
really
getting
like your
defensive?
hair. Sorry.
Why are you getting angry? Yeah, I agree with you. You should be so transparent. You should be happy to share this information, not bothered, or your feathers should not be ruffled at all. You should not be huffing and puffing when I ask you a question and giving me your back. Or then some people even get stalked later. Police just
Mhm,
riding by your block, riding by your home, trying to intimidate you. For what? If you're supposed to be for the people.
mhm.
So yeah, we got a lot of work to do, and I'm happy that we're here. We're gonna talk more because I'm gonna see if I get some other people on. Maybe some. It'll be good if I got some elected officials on. I'm gonna talk to a couple of people, and then I also know that this is this guy that's running for Button Sean's position, because Button Sean is leaving. I want to get him up here and ask him some questions, his perspective and perception, and about things. And I think he's running for Rome, Utica, and some other counties as well. So, yeah, we'll get people like them up here and see. I'm gonna work on that so we can get. Let's see. Don't sleep on God. God is in the mix. Do not be deceived. Things are being exposed through others and both of you to help make better decisions individually and collectively. Peace. I agree with you. And on that note, we'll close us out. So we'll be
Good
back.
night.
We're not gonna be back next Sunday. Are we gonna be back next Sunday?
Whatever you want. I
Are you
think
gonna have time to write those? Even if you don't write those, we can still chat about them, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna get some more people up here and let's talk to them because I've been a little bit occupied with personal stuff, so I haven't been able to get anybody to secure them. So this time, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get some try to see if I get some maybe at least one of them from the city, and then one who's running to see where their head is at and see, if we can have a conversation with them that they might know some things about and what is their take on it and how do they think they're going to be moving forward with the information that we're bringing them.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
think I'd like to ask them about decision making. Like literally, what do you think about this? I'm telling you that it doesn't make sense to me. Well, how's this sound to you?
Yeah, that'd be good. This is great. That'll be great. All right, so that's what I'll do. That's what I'll do. I get some of my friends up here. All right, Chris. Thank you. You're a great sport. You're the real MVP. And thank you, Reverend LaDonna Clark, Lady Jam for Humanity, for joining us on YouTube. As we close out tonight's conversation, one thing is clear about our community: it deserves more than decisions made in silence and the aftermath left unanswered. We don't just talk about the issues, we bring them into the light. We question them. We hold space for truth, even when it's uncomfortable and even when it's making me sweat. I want to thank you, Chris, for joining me tonight. And I want to thank every one of you who tuned in, commented, Reverend LaDonna, and stayed engaged with us this conversation. This isn't the end. We'll be back. It's a continuation of the work and the awareness and the accountability that we all deserve. Until next time, this is Reality Speaks TV, real people, real talk, in real time, where truth has a voice. Good night.
Good night.